For my first ever fotonovela, I had many different social issues in the Latinx community to select from, but the topic of machismo in our communities and culture as a whole seemed too big of an offer to refuse. During the beginning of this course, an assigned reading was an explanation of machismo and its origins in the Latinx culture. Machismo is a product of both Aztec and Spanish influence, and it is in certain subcultures, which I have on occasion been privy to growing up. I never noticed the way my mother doted after my brother in a way she never did to me. I figured she just missed him since he was not home often. But where I am now in life, it is pretty clear that my mother holds different standards for him than she does for my sister and I. In my artwork, I wrote from experience and realized that to my mother, my brother will always be doing enough, even if it is far less than what I do. Yet I will never be enough. While I was drawing my pictures, I searched online for Latinx books that dealt with machismo to draw more inspiration, which led me to a work by Erica L. Sanchez, in which she recaps the coming of age of her character Julia and her struggles of living as a Mexican American with Mexican parents. Most relevant to my story was the description of Julia's character and how she was wild in heart, which was not approved of by her parents. They wanted a perfect Mexican daughter who will never contradict them and behaved in a contained and proper manner, yet she was not. The nameless female daughter character in my story is shown to be very obedient since she mentioned doing the dishes frequently after showing her having downtime. When she complained about her always being picked for chores, she talked back to her mother and was immediately scorned for it, whereas her brother talked back to her mother and she was unbothered and content with his rude reply. This fundamental difference in the treatment of the sexes is societally constructed through years of psychological prepping in school and other institutions where boys are encouraged for speaking out and girls are dismayed from doing so because if they go against the norm, they're loudmouths or bossy. The daughter's opinion on the subject of chores was not viewed the same way as the son's because he did not have to live up to the standards of being the perfect woman. During a lecture, it was brought to my attention that women in the LGBTQ community were mistreated and not wanted in certain organizations simply because of their gender. Once again, this is an example of machismo where women were seen as less than compared to men and outcast. The mother in my art saw her son as too good for chores, whereas she saw her daughter fit for them. In Barbara Kinsolver's story, she wrote of a character named Nathan, driving his family down the path of destruction and ignoring all contradictions and arguments they threw his way. He saw himself as above them and deemed their input on his decisions irrelevant. Like him, the son of my story talks back to his mother and puts his needs above all others. Mothers should not set incredibly high standards for their daughters if they do not do the same for their sons. And for the artwork, I just used Procreate in order to draw everything that was happening.